Alright, welcome back. It's Thursday, March 28th, 2024, and it's the last trading day of the week because of Good Friday tomorrow. So, this is our weekend review, and I'm going to have a nice, enjoyable day off tomorrow. So, let's start at the top like we usually do, and these are our automated trading systems. So, the Dow is fluttering down. These are literally, these algorithms are programmed, they trade on their own. You just have to make sure that it's like a train going down a track. You have to make sure it stays on the track. And today's trades, yeah, that's actually not bad. Wondering what that, so it looks like it made more than it lost. Must be just this little tail right here. So the Russell really just, I think it just had the one trade today, and it was one little winner, not really anything. And the NASDAQ continues to do this, which is starting to get irritating, but I actually think this is an indication of some volatility getting ready to pick up. When the markets get really complacent, these intraday, these things trade intraday, so these things start to peter out like this, and when the volatility kicks back in, then we start to, things start to happen. And this thing trades both directions. It's it's got bullish and bearish trades built in. I should probably pull the stats up again one of these days, and you can see what the stats look like over time. But again, the trades lately have been more petering out than anything. These are just more ankle biters, but one of these days this thing will pick back up again, and it'll kind of reverse this. So, all right, let's go to well, let's flip to the internet real quick, because I saw another website that I followed for a while do this. So this is a total. I'm stealing this idea. Girls in bikinis, and I'm just going to do this real quick because we'll see if this helps people decide that they like our website or not. But it's totally stealing. Anyways, I think this is well, it's not my website, but it's out there obviously. So just kidding. I'll kill that, and we'll come back to the bullish percent index in a minute. All right. You might notice this is our regular systems, and we're looking here at the S&P 500, but I added two columns right here, and this is really just a little indicator that I built so we can tell what's going on with the charts at a glance. So for instance, this one with a lime color right here and an up, AMKR, if I flip to that, on the hourly chart we have a buy signal, and on ANSS here on the hourly chart we have a sell signal, and that shows up in those. So here at AI we've got, it's bearish on the day, and we got a little sell signal, but I'm still not done with this one. I think this is going to be fine, but you never know. I mean, it might stop out. My stop's right here. So, but that's what this is doing, and literally at a glance you can see that the ES, the RTY, the YM, and the NQ are all up, and really when they're green like that, there's nothing to do. They're just bullish. You can see the NQ here has a red, and it's neither up or down, so there's something there to look at on the hourly. When I flip back to this, we'll see what it looks like. So yeah, I mean, I know what the math is that's going into it, but that's a relative down arrow, and the daily's still up, but it's showing us some weakness, quote unquote, in the hourly chart, and in this case it only is really showing up as a bull flag. So anyway, I think this is handy. And like, you know, XLK here, it's really similar to the NASDAQ, but it's showing a sell signal on the hourly chart. So that sometimes is just enough to look at. If you're bullish and everything's fine on the daily and you get a sell signal on the hourly, it's, you know, you can look at that as an opportunity even to get into a trade if everything, like if the higher time frame is up, you can set your stop right here and not take very much of a risk, or you can wait for it to pull back farther and then get a better entry. But anyways, I think this is a handy tool, and we'll see. It'll help me with my homework for sure. So the S&P 500 today, we'll go down here, went up 5 points, which is next to nothing. Nothing to write home about. The industrials, look at that. They're up at 39,889. They closed at 39,807. So we're really close to hitting the 40,000 mark. And I thought we were going to do it today, but since it's not a trading day tomorrow, it's looking like maybe Monday, since we didn't have a big negative today. And you usually get some follow through Monday after a weekend, and then you get turnaround Tuesday. So if we get, you know, bearishness into Tuesday, I would expect a bullish push into. I should say, if we get bearishness on Monday, I would expect bullishness into Tuesday, and if we get bullishness into Monday, then I'm actually expecting our 40,000 to get hit, and that might actually continue some irrational exuberation, and we could get even a push higher than 40,000. I don't expect it to be much though, because we're so overbought here. Anyways, that's the Dow. The Russell pushed higher today, and it's up 0.31%. The NASDAQ we looked at has this bull flag going on. Now, all bull flags don't just play out to the upside, but the majority of them eventually do, because this is a falling channel, and falling channels eventually break to the upside. Now, I've seen them fall out and then have to come back, but that is one of the axioms that I've learned over the years. Rising channels eventually break to the downside, and falling channels eventually break to the upside. Oil today, ooh, look at that. Oil went up 1.5%. The futures contract similarly. And that pushes things like, here's ConocoPhillips. It's a stock we've been in for a while. So kind of to show how oil can affect other markets, especially the ones that are directly tied to them. XLE, by the way, is the energy ETF, and it's not just oil, obviously, but obviously it's affected by oil. So, and if you want to see what XLE, when I say it's not just oil, you can go to Yahoo Finance, look up XLE, and you can look at the individual components of what it makes that up as far as stocks go. All right. Gold, just so we wrap it up nicely, is popping higher. And let's look at BitTo, which is sort of, it's not real tradable for me right now. And while we're here, this is that rising wedge. on the S&P 500 and the McClellan and the NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange McClellan oscillators. And they're really sort of quiet too, based on the way that they're meandering here in a bullish uptrend. So one of these days I'm expecting a move. This one actually played out very long, but I'm expecting this kind of a move and have the market fall. So, which we can see kind of here. Something like that. And the VIX is being quiet, which is lending to this market going higher. All right, back to the New York Stock Exchange, the NYSE Bullish Percent Index, and this is the big one, quote unquote. I've shown it on here before. I'm not going to show it very often, but this is worth tracking right now because we're up 0.58. We're at 53.65, and all we need to do is get to this next box, and that'll be a point and figure buy signal. I think when we get to there, we're going to see a pullback and maybe even a new column of O's, but then the big question is going to be how far can we go higher. If we get on a point and figure buy signal like one of these, well, that's not a good example, like one of these, this thing could rise up quite a bit. I mean, look at that. That's really similar to the same level where we had a point and figure buy signal back here. Here's one that happened, and we only made it this high. So you go back and look in like history, and the question is going to be, what would this market look like if it just continues to push higher to some of these old levels? And that'll really knock some people's socks off, but it just won't do it in a straight line, I don't believe. So, and then finally, let's look at the bullish percent indexes in stockcharts.com, and don't forget this NYA is different than that one. I don't exactly know what the math is, but I know this one trades or moves faster than the other one does. We're going to look at the Dow Jones Industrials first. They did not move today. The NYA tacked on a new X and went up 2.09%. That's why it's green. The transports flipped to a new column of O's, so that's totally confusing in the face of what we were just looking at. Next, we didn't look at that. Let's look at the transportation index over here. Wherever it is, there it is. And it's actually breaking out to the upside, so that, or it appears to be. It's really only testing this upper level. So it's really interesting that it rolled over from a bullish percent index standpoint, but it also didn't change. So it just got enough to roll over, and 65% of the stocks in the or the bullish, in the transportation index, are still on a point and figure buy signal. That's going to be interesting to have to overcome. So, what's the NASDAQ here went up 1.53%. The S&P 500 tacked on a new X as well. It's green. It went up 1.92%. There's an awful lot more bullishness under the hood here than there is bearishness. The transportation index is just going to probably help hold everything back from being too bullish. The OEX minus 1.35%, and then finally the NDX minus 1.75%. So that's really interesting. What it says to me is that the actual, like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ themselves are probably stronger than the OEX and the NDX right now, in the short run. So the NDX and the OEX can, Apple, Google, Let's look at Google. Apple. Those types of stocks will help because they're in the OEX, I believe, will help kind of hold the markets down while the actual indexes can, some of those not so big name players can actually break out. And so that's the kind of stocks we're going to be looking for. MSFT, just for fun, has been on a little pullback here. INTC is actually one of our positions, and it's got basically it looks fine from a bullish standpoint. Not perfect yet, but if we can break this, it's more of a rounded bottom, but it's also a bull flag. If we can start to break out and get above this old high, this could be a great stock. So that's what I got. So I hope everybody has a great Easter weekend, and let us know if you like the site. Take care, good trading, and have a great night.